Meeting of the Water Commissioners is called to order January 18th at 2024 at 6 p.m. and is being recorded. Chairman Ed Johnson present.
Commissioner Dave Mesler present.
Commissioner John Kane, present.
Randy Brown, DPW Director, present.
And Chrissy Myatt is out sick. Okay. Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, John and Dave, have you reviewed the minutes of the last meeting?
I have reviewed the minutes and make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I'll second the motion to accept the minutes as written.
Okay, all in favor? Ed Johnson, aye.
Dave Mesler, aye.
John Kane, aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, elderly rate application. Hey, Andy, you want to explain it?
Yeah, we have one application this meeting, 13 Granville Road. The only issue with this property is it is a two-family home, and those are typically not eligible for the elderly rates. What we've done in the past is if the property owner wants to break out the water service between the two units, you know, the one unit that she would live in would qualify, but the other one would not.
Right. Would say they're not eligible.
Yeah, it's basically a commercial property.
It's a two-family house that she's getting, yes.
Make a motion to deny.
I'll second the motion to deny.
Okay, all in favor? Ed Johnson, aye.
Dave Mesler, aye.
John Kane, aye.
The motion carries. Okay, what we got here now? Monthly commitments.
No commitments this month.
Okay, Randy.
Just a quick couple things, we met 2 weeks ago, so not much new to report. First item, I think was a carryover. We're waiting on a report from Grouse Water Services that did a townwide leak detection survey in December. We had a preliminary list of locations, some of them which we have fixed. We're waiting for the final report to come in, and I'll share that when we do get it, hopefully next meeting.
Okay,
We had a water break on January 8th. We're on Castle Street. That was repaired by our water crews. And the last item is, we have Weston and Sampson CMR. That's their construction arm. They're doing, refurbishing of well two pump and motors. I had a meeting with them about a week ago, and they'll be starting that process in a few weeks. So I'll keep you apprised with that.
okay. Work order summary, I didn't see anything in here.
No work order summary either.
Okay. Appointments, none. Old business, Randy.
So really not much to report on either of these two items. PFAS, I still need to talk to our legal counsel. And
Okay.
18 Hudson Drive, that was a water line and water
Right.
main that broke. We had a meeting with property owner, the representative last meeting. We did submit a claim after our meeting, the day after on that Friday. I've heard nothing from
Okay,
ELS yet, so when I do, I'll pass it along.
okay, yep, so we can do. Okay, new business, FY 25 budget.
Okay, so in your packet, you got, there's a couple spreadsheets. I think there's 4 or 5 pages in total. So this is the budget. I'll just kind of quickly show you how we're setting up this year. So we have our FY 23 budget and what was spent, the first 2 columns, FY 24 budget. And then the finance committee is asking for 2 numbers. One is a level funded, which is a shaded column. And then the last column is request by department.
Okay,
So for the most part, I wasn't looking to make many changes to our budget. I did make a couple line item changes here and there, accounting for an increase. So first example is contracted equipment, the third one down, looking to increase that by $5,000. That's if we have to hire outside help to work. This past year, we were pretty close to our budget.
okay,
I did go up, one item I did go up on, is consultant, and that's probably the most tricky one I'll explain here. So if you go on the next page under capital, then on the next page, we have a line item for SCADA improvements.
Yep.
So that's our SCADA system. We've been taking money for SCADA work under our capital. It really is probably better suited to take out under an operations budget, because it's not something that's like a new a new
It's
purchase.
preventative maintenance, basically,
Right.
preventative upgrades.
It's up, yeah, it's maintenance, it's exactly. So I think it's better to take those dollars and put it into our operations budget. And so I did that under this consultant line item. This is
Okay.
one that we very rarely use in the past. So I took that $15,000 for SCADA, and I'm just gonna probably rename this consultant line item to SCADA maintenance.
Okay,
So that's why there's an increase in that line item.
okay,
I'm looking down here, postage. I'm looking to decrease that. We had to increase it a couple years ago because of all the Haley notices we had to send them.
right, with Springfield water and all that.
We're,
yeah,
I'm knock on wood, we're past that now, so I think we can, it's safe to reduce that down.
Okay,
I did increase the line item for City of Springfield, that's the water we purchase.
yep,
Not that we're looking to purchase more water, but just the rates are going up. Going up on stock supplies, that's all the parts that we buy, valves, fittings, all the copper, for service materials,
mhm,
all that costs are going in. If we go on the second page, disinfection byproduct, I'm looking to reduce that line item from 8,000 to 6,000. We really have never even come, close to $8,000 in the past, so I think, we're comfortable reducing that down to $6,000. Same thing of printing of bills. We haven't really hit that $4,500. So looking to reduce that. And then backflow inspection, a little bit increase in there. That's our backflow inspector.
right,
Everything else is pretty much our new water meter AMI system. Come up on that as well. But so overall, there's some increases, some decreases. I think the net increase is about $8,000 over last year's budget, which I think is very reasonable.
yep,
They
should be happy with that.
Yeah, and oh, I do want to talk about the capital line items too. So, under capital, refurbish well.
Yep.
So we took aside money this year for refurbishing the well. That's the work I just talked to you about.
Right,
That's gonna start in a couple weeks. So they're gonna break down the pump and the motors and diagnose it. It's not included in that cost as if you have to make any repairs. A new pump or a new motor, we don't know that yet. But once they break it down, we'll have a better idea of what may be needed.
okay,
So my thought is I put this in here more as a placeholder for now.
okay,
And by the time the budget process is over, we'll have a better idea of what we may need for that pump station, if anything.
okay,
So it's just a line item to carry, it's just a more of a placeholder.
Yep.
And then for hydrant replacements, we're usually at $20,000 for that. Last year, we dipped down to 10,000 just to help balance the budget. But I'd like to increase it back up to $20,000.
Yeah.
That'll buy us a few hydrants. And that's all I got. So those are the, operation and capital items. And then I guess I want to talk maybe the future next. But any questions on this before we talk about
Nope.
maybe like future years?
Nope.
Very good with that?
Yep.
Okay. And then these next two pages are just part of the budget. Some description about some of the line items. I talked about the changing that consultant line item. I described why we're doing that. The capital items. But I do want to talk about the next couple of years and let's see where we're at with some future capital projects and how that might impact our budget and our rates.
Okay.
So this sheet here, there's two pages. Top of the page is short-term projects, the next page is long-term. I got a bunch of projects put together in three categories: short-term, medium-term, and long-term. And this is more of a wish list, we may not get all these done. I would think it'd probably be difficult to get all of them done, but I think this is a good place to start the discussions. And I did increase, so I got a list of projects here, the description, the cost for those projects, and then if we were to move forward those projects today at that cost, how that would impact our rates. And the last column is more of an estimate at this point. I want to refine these if we ever, pursue any of these projects. But to give you an idea of what the impacts of the rates might be, I threw that on here.
Is this impact to the rate, including debt service on the cost of the project?
This is the debt service, yeah.
Okay,
So if
if we had to bond the project.
exactly, yes. Most of these, some of these are small enough, there's some, $50,000 ones that maybe will get away with. I
Yeah.
still included it, but.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming if we're gonna bond them.
Mhm.
So, you'll see a couple zeros on your estimated cost. So the first line item is Bungalow Street. The second one is Loop Hudson Drive. Some of those projects we're advancing now, but they'll be done through a grant. So these are projects that will certainly benefit the water department, but you know, we're gonna get grant money to do that. So that's why there's no cost in here.
Right,
And obviously no rate impact, by doing those projects. But ones that we have talked about in the past, well to upgrades, that's the one we're working on now, right? But if you're
Okay.
looking at the fourth line item is North Long Yard Road Pump Station. That's that pump station is pushing 30 years old.
Yeah, it's up there.
Everything's original.
Yep.
Pumps, motors, controls. So we would have to rehaul that whole pump station. The North Lake Avenue project, that's being done through a block grant project. So again, no cost to the town. The next one is Granville Road Water Main. We've talked about that in the past. There's an old cast iron main on Granville Road. We have a water tank, the AC water line that runs the water tank. You know, if that pipeline ever fails, we can't supply water to the town through the tanks. So that'd be a good project. Summer Drive is being done through a block grant. And then some water main work on Sheep Pasture, Point Grove Road. I included, all those roads in one list, but we could, realistically break them up into segments if we wanted to, if we were to tackle one at a time. So those are the short-term projects that I have on my list. And talking to Kevin, we're on the same page in that term. And then I won't go through all of them on the medium-term and long-term projects. But certainly there's plenty of work out there.
mm-hmm,
And I guess what I would like to do is talk to you about what your thoughts are. If you want to move forward with any projects at this point, or if you want to wait maybe a year and see where we're at. One thing that Kevin and I were talking about was North Long Yard Road. And then if you go to the medium-term projects, there's a line item for looping South Long Yard Road to Point Grove and then install new well. Those are two projects that kind of interjoined. So that would be the North Pond property. When the town purchased that, there was space set
Right.
aside for a new pump station, a new well, and also a water line to connect South Long Yard to Point Grove Road. I don't think we need to do both North Long Yard Road and a new well. I think one or the other. So one or the other would suffice to suit our needs. At this point, I'm not sure which is the better option to move forward with. So I would like just maybe some time to kind of do some research and plan out a little better.
okay.
Which of
yeah,
these two are the ones if we want to move forward,
Right,
which is, I don't want to start one of them now and then
right,
decide, oh, you know what, maybe we should have done the other one for the other projects weren't beneficial. So that's my thought process.
Yeah.
My recommendation is to leave the budget as it is. And then I'm gonna make it a priority to, focus on these next projects
okay,
next year moving forward.
okay, yeah, and see where we're at, yep,
But I want to get your feedback on
Yeah.
that as well.
that's good, I agree with that. Yeah, cause that North Long Yard, that's going on almost 30 years old, it's,
It is, one of my worries about that is, so when we did North Jerry Drive, we had to, not only to put in new pumps and controls and motors, but we had to add a coordination system.
right,
And we have to probably add that at North Long Yard as
Right.
well. And that carries a whole host of other cost implications and,
Preventive maintenance long term.
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah, I think that one we should definitely look into.
Which that could put the cost of it. You could almost double it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, maintenance costs. I mean, we know we're maintaining our maintenance costs for Jerry Drive are, and it's not
Okay, that's true.
much different than what we have. We do have a coordination system on Jerry Drive, but
Right.
we don't need it now either. That's another, it's an unknown. So Springfield, as long as they continue treating their water like they do. and
We're all
they-
set for now, yeah,
We're okay. But if they ever change their treatment process.
Yeah,
we're ready to go.
We have to chlorinate.
Yep.
And so it's set up for
Set
that.
up ready to go if we need it.
If we need
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
We haven't needed, knock on wood, it's been up and running for almost 2 years now.
Right,
And on the horizon, I don't think there's any plans for Springfield to make any changes.
yeah, so I'm not.
But still, we gotta account for it.
Yeah, we gotta be
Gotta be
proactive,
built in.
we gotta be
So
proactive.
there are costs associated.
Yep. I think we can go till next year on these, don't we?
I'm fine with it, yeah, as long as,
See where we're at.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that North Lawn Yard, I think that's one of the things I think Scott should get done, my opinion anyway.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we'll see where we are money wise and
Yeah, knock on wood, I mean, so right now,
I was just gonna ask how we doing our revenue
Our,
now.
I think our rates are in good shape right now. We didn't go up on our rates this past fall.
Right,
We have been doing rate increases almost every year. In
Right.
fall this year was the first year we haven't done that.
and we're still,
And I think we're pretty good, you know, so
Okay.
our budgets, our revenue is kind of matching our expenses at this
right,
point.
okay,
But any project like this would.
Oh, yeah,
we
absolutely.
Revisit our
Right.
rates. if we-
okay. Yep, sounds good to me. Okay. Now we got Southwick Village.
So there's a table, there's 2 pages here.
Yep.
So Southwick Village, this is the former American Inn. They have, 40+ buildings on the property, and each building has its own meter. And so, a few meetings ago in the fall, we passed a new policy. So last page is a policy we adopted for multi-unit residential rates. And this applies for properties that are, 10 units or more. Typically apartment complexes, but, anything that, we have group homes like this, I think would qualify. So as we were going through this, we were talking about American Inn or Southwick Village, I should say, and how would that policy apply to Southwick Village? So what I did here is I broke out, or Chrissy did a lot of this, but we broke out all the services and broke them up by use. And so most of these are just residential units. There's 2, 3, or 4 units per building. However, for a lot of these residential units, they also irrigate. They use them to irrigate the grounds in the vicinity of that building. If you scroll down, so these are all numbered by A, B, C, D. That's how we number them. And there's, once you get through Z, you have A, B, B,
Yeah.
C. So there are a couple of non-residential buildings. There's 802S, which is the Dublin House. Used to be called the Crane Building. That's the big
Crane
building in the
Building,
middle of the property.
Yep.
That's more of a mixed use building.
Yeah, that's where my mother was.
There's residential, but there's also dining services.
Yep,
and
there's dining,
a
yeah,
salon, and there's
downstairs, they got, yeah,
there's other things in there. They have a maintenance garage, which is 802T. They have an irrigation meter pit, so that's irrigation only, that's 802X. And then there's a social house, which is number 796. So I was trying to, look at how this policy would be applied to Southwick Village, if at all. My feeling is that if the units are strictly residential and there's no irrigation use, I think this might qualify for the policy. But I don't think this policy was written to help, lower a rate for someone who's using the usage for outdoor irrigation
right,
or for some kind of mixed use use.
right,
Certainly the irrigation meter pit or the maintenance garage, I don't think those would qualify.
no,
But I want to get your opinion and feedback on that before we, kind of set that into stone in our billing system.
I like the feel on residential ones, sure, but not the one with irrigation or mixed use, maintenance garage, irrigation, no, or social house, but
Yeah, because most of the ones without irrigation are relatively close to 30,000 gallons.
Right,
Anyway,
I got no problem with that.
Yeah, and remember, there's 2, 3, or 4 units per, so
Right,
yeah.
it does probably match up with a typical single family house.
Right.
And maybe, and
Yeah, I'm in favor of that.
So I would consider those types of units as part of this.
Right,
Then, if they're-
absolutely.
like you said, if they're using it for outdoor use and for irrigation, then
No,
no, because they don't obviously need the help. If they can spend more and more.
right, yeah, you can see the difference, what they use, yeah.
And then they're by far the biggest water user in town.
Oh, yeah,
This
yeah.
property, by far.
Yeah.
Yes, you make up for it with the Dublin house.
right, right.
With 8 million
Yeah.
gallons. I mean, that's
Yeah.
realistically.
No, that's the big one, yeah.
Yeah.
Treat the residents.
Right.
you know.
Yeah, and I will say they have a lot of leaks in their system, and we have sent them notices the last 2+ years. Christie could share with you, Kevin could share the times he knocked on doors down, talked to the maintenance people. They have leaks, and quite frankly, they've been unaddressed.
Do they have leaks before the meter that we know of?
Nothing before we know of. I mean, that's, these are all after the meter that we're aware of. So they do have, I did actually have in communication with their management company. And they say they weren't aware of all these leaks and the notices that they have been given. So now they are aware and they are being pretty proactive or be active of addressing these leaks. They're going basically unit by unit, checking toilets, checking sinks, making sure there's no drips here or there. So they're working on it,
Okay,
but it's also been, 2+ years of us sending them the postcards and notices.
Right.
and
right.
Kevin going out literally talking to them directly, you got a
Yeah.
leak here and nothing happens.
Yeah.
So it's been frustrating on our end.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
But I agree with, I can certainly agree with the policy that the residential only units will qualify, the other ones are gonna get billed as they have been.
Right. Okay, motion on that?
Motion?
Would this also, would this qualify as the elderly rate?
Yes, it would.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So that would be included.
All right, I make a motion to apply the policy from policy from November 16th to the Southwick Inn,
Village. Yeah.
Southwick Village, residential properties only,
Without irrigation.
without irrigation.
Okay. One second,
I'll second the motion.
all in favor, Ed Johnson, aye.
Dave Meswar, aye.
John Kane, aye.
Okay, motion carries. Anything else in the new business, Randy?
I have nothing, man.
Anything else to come before the board?
I'll
Motion for adjournment,
make a motion to adjourn.
The second motion to adjourn.
all in favor, Ed Johnson, aye.
Dave Meswar, aye.
John Kane, aye.
The meeting is adjourned.